Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to start one of the new what ifs that I wanted to choose to do because for a while a while ago I decided that I was going to do multiple new what ifs so that I didn't have to always do the exact same and that I had time to basically think of other things for some of the what ifs. So this is going to be one of the new what ifs that I wanted to do. In this one, the basically what it's going to be is what if Deku had all of the powers from the Sand Tanuki from Naruto. So um, control of sand, turning into sand. Yeah, I'm not talking about the powers of the guy that has the Santanuki. I'm talking really the Santanuki. So Izuku can turn into sand, control sand, make more sand by sending sand on the ground. Um, he will have a monster form, but that'll come in play later. So, mm, oh yeah, as well, just like for the tailed beast in Naruto, if you um if he does make a tail, well, transform partially into whatever into him beast form, like making sand around him, turning his body partially into sand, and basically using the power, he becomes more powerful. His strength is augmented from a normal human. Um, Practically any damage done to his body will basically heal almost automatically because well it just places more sand in the place and there it's fixed. Basically even in his human body, which isn't made of sand yet, like before he transforms. Even then when he gets damage, basically he can just use his powers and basically heal practically anything instantly. He will not have one for all, and the ship I'm going to do in this one, since normally or I say what ship I'm going to do, or I just don't really say if there's going to be one, or just don't do one. In this one, there's going to be one, and it is going to be Momo and Deku. So, when Izuku was born, he was born with a quirk that basically around him dust and sand basically around him when there were, like, if he was happy, mad, or just wailing around, basically sand and dust was kind of moving around him like a lot. um and when I say dust, it's because, well, dust normally is partially or like small speck of dirt stuck with hair and other things like that, basically. so he's kind of able to control dust as well. So what they think it is basically that he can an evolution from his mom's quirk, which all she can do is kind of make things float to her when they're small. And they just think that what he can do is basically just do like her quirk, but with only sand and dirt and stuff like that. But move them around completely as his will. So for a big part of his childhood, basically he was born with it, so at school he was basically already showing it to other kids. Um, it was kind of a flashy quirk, so he wasn't. So Bakugo basically was already thinking kind of highly of him. When Bakugo got his quirk, he thought he was. Well, he still got the attitude of I'm better than everyone, but thinking that Deku was still close to him because as long as Sand is close to him, he can basically kill you if he wanted to. But he doesn't. Bakugo doesn't see it as an evil quirk because what he sees it as is basically something that with it he can grab people and make them float them to safety. Um, Jump to different grab different stuff like from far away with the sand and basically just take it somewhere else. Um, he thinks, well, basically he sees his work as something that can, if Izuku wanted to, be a perfect tool for someone to save people. Like with enough sand, you can put out fires. You can basically make pathways where people can walk over water, um, holes, or anything like that. Um, yeah, sorry, I had to pause for a bit. Like I was saying, basically, Bakugo does not have the any mentality of Deku has an evil quirk and thinks it's actually quite powerful. He just thinks it's not as powerful as his, but still. So, over time, basically, Deku and Bakugo became friends. Basically, they were called the two strongest in class for good reason. And Bakugo still wanted to know most of the time if he was basically stronger than Izuku. So a lot of time they would fight with both of them having at first basically good chances for both. Sometimes Deku would win, sometimes Bakugo would win. Both of them got nicknamed. Well, both of them had nickname because of their quirk. Bakugo was basically just called Palm Blaster, something like that. And Izuku was called the Sandstorm. Because if you wanted to, basically just every bit of sand around him just flying around. So, yeah, the Sandstorm. Yes, this is going to be his hero name, but Bakugo is still going to be, I think, Explosion King or something like that. Just for fun. So, at some point, both of them were fighting, and Bakugo used well, send a hit that was stronger than what he intended. But what I mean by that is that normally when he attacks, he using his explosion and that he used them strongly, he makes sure that there's at least sand around Deku. This time, Deku just basically pushed it all away to try and hit Bakugo, just after Bakugo started attacking, and the attack basically got Izuku in the face and burned a part of it. Let's say they weren't at school, they were in a park or something, like during a field trip, where basically there were heroes and stuff like that. It was basically they went in a park where it was like multiple heroes were there talking about what um, their dream was, how they decided to become heroes, stuff like that. Basically, it was kind of like a small party or something, and that happened. And when that happened, a second part of Izuku's quirk awakened. His body being able to transform into sand, but him never doing it since he didn't know and that he needs to think it. He was basically just thinking, make it stop hurting, like he doesn't want it to hurt anymore. And basically, his body started transforming into sand, and a lot was coming out. Like, massive amount of sand just surrounding him, which everyone that knew Deku basically thought that because he was hurt, the sand was just going crazy. But then at some point, they just saw him start to grow and grow. Basically, he was starting to look more and more like a Tanuki. And when it's finished, he wasn't as big as what Shokaku truly is. He was like a quarter of the size, just because Izuku is just a kid for now. But it's still pretty big. So basically everyone got scared, and a lot of people that saw it basically were just thinking his quirk went out of control after he got hurt, because basically it's what's happening and most people were able to see it. So everyone basically knew that it was that. Basically they just thought that his quirk made that protect him. So let's say there was a hero that can basically see life force, and he said that no, the entire thing isn't made of just sand, it's living. It's living sand. The kid didn't make that, he became that. So let's say All Might was near but not in the park and basically saw what was happening. So he came because, well, it looks like a villain's attacking. When he arrived, the hero basically said, "Be careful, it's just a kid that lost control of his quirk." Basically asking what happened, and someone saying that he was playing with another kid and that by accident he literally got hit with the quirk full force in the face. Then he said, "I'm going to get him out of this," and the hero saying, "No, you don't get it. He is the monster." So he basically had to be careful. He decided to give a good hit, basically just trying to kind of push it away. And so they basically called multiple heroes, like Endeavor. The problem is that they don't want to hurt the kid. His quirk basically just went out of control. And they think that if he gets more hurt, he might grow even bigger or stuff like that. So at some point, they found a hero that could basically, I think, well, yeah, Water Hose, the two heroes that are the parents of Koda, basically got called, and with enough water over time, they were able to basically kind of harden the sand enough to make it kind of hard for Izuku to move. After that, the hero basically froze half of him, and over time, well, he just kind of calmed down. When his body finally untransformed, he was basically fine for his body, but he still did a lot of damage. Like, his clothes weren't on him anymore because they ripped apart. When he woke up, he was in a hospital to basically check if he was really okay. Bakugo was saying sorry, 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 sorry. Like, he really didn't want to hurt him. Um, All Might stayed to basically ask him what that was. And remember, he's not hurt yet, since I think it happens around when they're like 8 or 9 or something like that. So for now, he's fine and can go all, all out for practically ever. And basically asked him what that was. He just said that he didn't know. He got hurt and was just thinking of making it stop. And after that, he just felt as if he was kind of losing control of everything. He remembered everything that happened, him attacking, him doing everything, but without thinking, as if it was on instinct. And that's basically well, the drawback of that. When he goes like that, it's not something that he controls. And it's not going to be he can control it later. When he goes like that, he basically becomes a wild animal. And it will not change over the series. This form acts on instinct, protects itself, protects what basically he feels like home or things that are close to him, attack what hurt him, or run away if it's too strong. Basically, a wild animal. Just extremely large, made of sand, unable to be hurt, can regenerate, and will basically be practically unstoppable. For now, he was really weak because Izuku was weak. Basically, a Dogman's is strength by a massive amount. But I'm not going to put a multiplier on it because I don't even know how strong I would give a multiplier to do that. All you have to think is that Izuku's a child that was about this, that when he transformed fully was about 1/3 of All Might's strength, which is humongous. Don't get me wrong, it is normal, because Shokaku would be normally in the anime basically able to basically just flick All Might down and kill him by that. So he's going to get a lot stronger later, so it is normal that he is powerful. It is not just to make him overpowered. He knows to not transform like that because he loses his mind completely, and he will never be able to control that. No matter how many times he transforms into it, he is conscious, but his body acts on its own. He's not even the one thinking to move its body. So, and yes, it is him. It is just like a defense mode. Well, defense mechanism that is basically like strong enough to stop practically anything. And later it will be strong enough to stop All Might. Like a massive amount stronger than All Might. But for now, he's just 1/3 of it. So they basically told him after that he explained that he turned into sand, not only controlled it. So after a bit, he was told that he was out of school for about 2 or 3 weeks for the time to let his body basically calm down correctly. So during that time, All Might basically told him that he wanted to help him control that part of his quirk. Just because he said he was the only hero strong enough to basically stop him if anything happened. So for all of that time they tried to control it, which at the end Deku basically said, when I'm like that, I can't control it. I see what's happening, but the body's moving on its own. So All Might basically told him, okay, so instead of transforming into that, try to just control your body, turning into sand, and basically just manipulate it, which he was able to do. So after all that happened, basically All Might left and basically just stopped thinking about the kid. So yeah, All Might and Deku did meet when he was a kid, but they won't see each other for a good amount of time. So Izuku sees him as a freaking good hero because, well, literally, he even trained with him. Everyone at school knows about it. There's even picture of him and All Might together. So, um, for the next just about 10 years to just before the Sludge Villain attack, he trains to control sand, turn into sand, and learn to create sand by sending it in the ground to basically make it, make more. So, the day of the Sludge Villain attack, the teacher does the same speech, then saying Bakugo and Izuku both go to UA. Nobody laughing because, well, big. They're the freaking powerhouse of the school. The only one able to stop Deku is Bakugo if he's lucky, since he augmented the size of his explosion to a massive amount. In this one, he trained. In the original, the only times he was actually using his quirk was to bully on people. So Deku has a more powerful quirk. Well, has a quirk in this one, while Bakugo trained his to be extremely powerful. So after basically a bit of that, Deku and sorry for that sound. Deku and Bakugo left. They each went their separate ways. Izuku decided to try and to his house as soon as possible, so he passed by the tunnel. And then the sludge villain attacked him. Izuku basically just turning into sand and, well, creating a massive ball of sand around him, basically compressing it. The sludge villain basically screaming to let him out, and Izuku basically running away because there's no hero around. And he doesn't want to use his quirk and be scolded about it. So All Might basically just finds the ball with the villain screaming, "Let me out! What is this?" So he basically just grabs the ball and bring it to the police, so they don't meet each other there. Bakugo isn't attacked, even though if he was attacking this one, he would probably just blow the sludge villain away in one shot. Just like Izuku could have easily just quashed the sludge villain without even leaving a trace of him. So, after all that happened, they just kind of continue with their day. All Might was still looking for a successor, and let's say instead of Izuku, during that same day, he saw another crime happening, transforming, and to go stop it. Well, wanting to transform to go stop it. Yeah, so problem is that, well, naturally, he is out of time. So, basically, he looks at it, well, around. Was doing anything. The villain basically has a quirk that lets him, well, in an area around him, like about 10 meters around him, he basically controls practically anything that enters. Basically just the gravity of it, so you try to punch him and you just basically start floating around him, and he makes you move however he wants. Well, not 10 meters, let's say about 30 meters, because 10 meters is big, but yeah. And the person that goes to try and stop what's happening is... Wait, who was it? Let me just check something for a second. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to be sure, because I remembered that the villain had a gravity quirk, but I wasn't sure if the person I put against him was Ochako. The reason I put her against him is because she basically removes gravity from anything she touches with all 5 pads on her fingers. So he's not able to fight against it, and basically she just grabbed something and basically just threw it at him, which he tried to move and he got hit with it, which he then grabbed something bigger. Let's say there was that while he was fighting against other people, he basically broke like a lamppost or something, with one of the heroes basically being rammed into it. And not a lamppost, but a stop sign or something like that. She basically grabbed it and kind of threw it at him as well. Him trying to get away from it, but basically being hit in the head with it, so knocking him out. The hero did scold her for using her quirk and fighting, But All Might was impressed by her. She seemed scared, but she still fight against it. Well, against him. So she basically waited for her to get away, and then he went to talk with her, and she took the quirk. So she trained at the Dagaba Beach for the 10 months. She got one for all, like, let's say, a week before, and All Might told her to try and control the strength. So instead of Izuku just kind of hitting at full force without knowing what that it was going to break him, she basically just tried to put it in a single part of her body, just like Deku does, for a bit. Like, let's say, her finger. She charge the strength, the power. She feels that it hurts before throwing it, so she decides to take away from it all the way up until it doesn't hurt, which is basically around 4% at this point, and then she lets it go, and it doesn't hurt her, but it does a good blast. All Might asked her what she did, and she basically said that that since while she was charging it, it was hurting, so she started taking away from it, thinking of it as percentages, and she said that she was only left with 4% when she was done. Which All Might said, "Oh, so you already thought of that? I thought I would have to teach you that, or something like that." Well, that's already good. The only reason I do that is because Ochako isn't rash. She thinks before she does anything. Deku normally does the same thing, but with One for All, basically just went all out. So yeah, Deku is and Bakugo are extremely strong, and Ochako has One for All. I think I said Momo was going to be the one that Izuku was going to be with. I'm not sure actually right now. Well, I'm going to make to be sure in the next part anyway. So, I'm going to end it here just before the UA entrance exam. Hope you liked it. I had I wanted to do this for a while, but I kind of waited for a bit. Now I'm just trying to find back all of the ones I wanted to do, and basically I'm going to put out, I think, 2 or 3 more that will be new. And yeah, so the next what if that I'm going to do is another part of my what if Deku had a leveling system. I'm probably going to start in like 40 minutes. So yeah, if you like this one, leave a like. If you have any idea for what ifs that you would like me to do, or that some other people have done but that you would like to see another perspective on it, tell me in the comments and I'm gonna see what I can do. So, hope you liked it. I had fun. Natsu, out.